tiresome, racist cynicism. "Shut the hell up, Beneke. I don't want to hear it. She's terrified." As soon as they were out of the car, the maid went hysterical. "Aki! Aki! Aki!" she screeched, motioning them toward the front door. "Aki! Aki!" The residence was an ultra-modern stone and glass structure high in the Santa Monica Mountains. As he approached, Officer Campbell could see straight through the green glass entryway to the back patio and the sweeping coastal view beyond. What was that on the front door glass? It looked totally out of place. A label or a sticker of some kind. A kitty decal? With a large A on it. He had to practically pry the maid's grip from his forearm. "Ma'am, just please be calm. Uno momento, por favor. ¿Cómo te llamas?" The woman may or may not have heard him. Her Spanish came much too quickly for him to understand. She pointed toward the house several more times. "Let's just get in there," Beneke insisted. "We're wasting time with her. She's living the vida loca." 2 more cruisers and an ambulance pulled up. One of the paramedics spoke quickly and more efficiently with the maid. "In the pool in the back," he reported. "No one else is here, as far as she knows." "She don't know shit," said Beneke. "We'll go around," Campbell said. He and Beneke took the north side of the house, their weapons drawn. The other teams went to the south, straight through a set of hedges. Campbell felt the old rush of adrenaline as they worked their way through a dense cluster of hydrangea. Homicide calls used to be almost exhilarating. Now they just made him feel lightheaded and weak in the legs. He squinted through the thick brush as best he could. From what he knew of the Hollywood murders, there was no way the killer would still be around. "You see anything?" he whispered to his partner, who was 29, a California cowboy, and a total asshole most of the time. "Yeah, a bunch of flowers," Beneke answered. "We were the first ones here. Why'd you let them go ahead of us like that?" Campbell stifled his first response. "Just keep your eyes open," he said. "The killer could still be here." "That's my hope, Pojo." They emerged onto a sweeping black slate patio in the back. It was dominated by an enormous dark-bottomed infinity pool. The water seemed to flow right up to and over the edge of the terrace. "There she is," Campbell groaned. A woman's stark white body floated face down, arms perpendicular to the torso. She wore a lime-green one-piece. Her long blonde hair was splayed gently over the surface of the water. One of the paramedics jumped into the pool and with some difficulty turned her over. He put a finger to her throat, but it was already obvious to Campbell there would be no pulse. "Holy shit!" Campbell grimaced and looked away, then back again. He held his breath to keep everything down. Who the hell could do something like this? The poor woman was practically erased from the neck up. Her face was a tangle of cut flesh. The pool's water was tinted bright pink all around the body. Beneke walked over to get a closer look. "Same killer. I'll bet you anything, same crazy killer did this." He leaned over to help pull the woman out. "Wait!" Campbell barked. He pointed to the paramedic who was still in the water. "You! Get out of the pool! Get out of the pool right now!" Stone-faced, they all looked at Campbell, but they knew he was right. Even Beneke didn't say a word. There was no sense putting any more of their stamp on the murder scene until an investigative team got there. They would have to leave the victim where she was. "Hey! Hey, guys!" Campbell looked up to see another officer, Jerry Toonley, calling down from a window upstairs. "Office is completely trashed up here. There's broken pictures, stuff everywhere, glass. And get this, the computer's still on and open to a mail program. Looks like someone was sending an email before they left." Chapter 26.
To A. Greiner at LATimes.com. From Mary Smith. To Marty Lowenstein Bell. I watched you having dinner last night. You and your fine family of 5. Very cozy and nice. Mother knows best. With those immaculately clean glass walls of yours, it couldn't have been easier to watch. I enjoyed seeing you with your kids at your Last Supper. I could actually see the delicious-looking food on your plates, prepared by your cook and nanny, of course. You were having a swell time, and that's fine with me. I wanted you to enjoy yourself on your last night. I especially wanted your kids to have a lasting memory. Now I have a memory of them, too. I'll never forget their sweet faces. Never, ever forget your kids, Marty. Trust me on it. What a beautiful, beautiful house you have, Marty, as befits such an important writer and film director. Is that the right order, by the way? I think so. I didn't come inside until later when you were putting the girls to bed. You left the patio doors open, again, and this time, I used them. I couldn't resist. I wanted to see things just the way you see them, from the inside, looking out. But I still don't understand why all you rich people feel so safe in your houses. Those big castles can't protect you if you aren't paying close attention. And you weren't. You weren't paying attention at all. Too busy being a mom, or too busy being a star. I listened to you upstairs, doing bedtime with the girls. It was kind of touching, and I mean that. You probably thought you would be the last one to tuck them in, but you weren't. Later, when everyone was asleep, I watched each of those girls in her bed, breathing so peacefully. They were like little angels with no cares in the world. I didn't have to tell them they had nothing to worry about, because they already knew. It was just the opposite for you. I decided to wait until the morning, so that I could be with you alone, Madam Director. I'm really glad I waited, too. Your husband, Michael, took the girls to school today. His turn, I guess. That was lucky for everyone, but especially for him. He got to live, and you didn't have to watch him die. And I got you the way I wanted, just the way I had imagined for such a long time. Here's what happened next, Marty. Your last morning started like any other. You did your precious Pilates and then went for laps in the pool. 50 laps, just like always. It must be nice to have such a big swimming pool. Heated, too. I stood and watched you gliding back and forth in the sparkling blue water. Even there, so close. It took you forever to see me. When you finally looked up, you must have been good and tired. Too tired to scream, I suppose. All you did was turn away, but it didn't stop me from shooting you, or then cutting your pretty face to ribbons and shreds. Tell you what, Marty, that was the best part of all. I'm starting to really like defacement. Now, let me ask you one final question. Do you know why you had to die? Do you know what you did to deserve this? Do you know, Marty? Do you know? Somehow, I doubt it.
Chapter 27. But that wasn't exactly the way it happened, the storyteller knew. Of course he wasn't going to tell the LA Times and the police everything, only what he needed them to know, only what was in the story he wanted them to help authenticate. It was such a good story. A hell of a story, if he didn't say so himself. Mary Smith. Jesus, a classic horror tale if ever there was one. Speaking of stories, he'd heard a good one the other day. The Psychopath's Test. It was supposed to tell you if you had the mind of a psycho. If you got it right, you did. The story went like this. At her mother's funeral, a woman met this guy and fell instantly in love.
but she never got his name, number, or anything about him. A few days later, the woman killed her sister. Now, the test. Why did she kill the sister? If you answer correctly, then you think like a psychopath. The storyteller did, of course. He figured it out immediately. This woman killed her sister because she was hoping the guy she liked would appear at the funeral. Anyway, after he killed Marty Lowenstein Bell, he was high as a kite. But he knew he had to stay in control. More or less, anyway. He had to keep up appearances. So he hustled on back to work. He roamed the halls of the office building in Pasadena and talked to half a dozen co-workers about things that bored the living shit out of him, especially today. He wanted to tell every one of them what had just happened, about his secret life, about how none of them got him at all, about how smart and clever he was, and about what an incredible planner, schemer, and killer he was. Jesus, how they love to toss that word around. So-and-so was a killer. This one had a killer smile, a killer act, but it was all such incredible bullshit. All these people were wimps. They didn't know what real killing was all about. But he sure did. And he knew something else. He liked it a lot. Even more than he thought he would, and he was good at it. He had the sudden urge to pull his gun at the office and start shooting everything that moved, squeaked, or squealed. But hell, that was just a fantasy, a little harmless daydreaming. It would never measure up to the real story, his story, Mary's story, which was so much better.
Chapter 28. Alex, your office at the FBI called so many times I had to stop answering the phone. Good Lord, what is wrong with those people? My great-aunt Tia was holding forth at the kitchen table at home, admiring the colorful scarf we had brought her as thanks for house-sitting while we were in California. Nana sat next to Tia, sorting through a thick stack of mail. Our cat Rosie was in the kitchen and looked a bit heavier if I wasn't mistaken. She rubbed hard up against my legs as if to say, "I'm mad you left, but I'm glad you're back. Tia sure is a fine cook." I was glad to be back, too. I think we all were. Christine's taking Alex away to Seattle had more or less ended our vacation, at least the joy in it. My one conversation with her had been tense and also sad. She and I were both so controlled, so intent on not losing our temper, that we ended up with almost nothing to say. But Christine worried me. The ups and downs, the inconsistencies I saw all the time these days. I wondered what she was like with little Alex when I wasn't around the two of them. Alex never complained, but kids usually won't. Now I was back in my kitchen in D.C., feeling almost as if I hadn't had any time off at all. Today was Thursday. I had until Monday morning to not think about work. A resolution that lasted a whole 5 minutes. Almost by habit, I wandered up to my office in the attic. I threw my fat pile of mail on the desk and, without thinking about it, pressed play on the answering machine. Big mistake. Nearly fatal. 9 new messages were waiting for me. The first was from Tony Woods at the Bureau. "Hello, Alex. I've tried paging you a few more times, but haven't had any luck. Please call me at Director Burns's office as soon as you can, and please apologize to your house-sitter for me. I suspect she thinks I'm stalking you, possibly because I am. Call me." I smiled thinly at Tony's dry humor and delivery as a second message from him began. "Alex, Tony Woods again. Please call in as soon as you can. There's been another incident with a murder case in California. Things are most definitely running out of control there. There's a lot of hysteria in L.A. The L.A. Times has finally broken the story about Mary Smith's emails. Call me. It's important, Alex." Tony knew enough not to leave too many specific details on my home phone. He may also have been hoping to hook my curiosity with his vagueness. He did.